we're going to go to a recap. I'm going to break through the 12 steps just a little bit, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to read the, the 12 promises and the 12 rewards, okay? And guess what I got? You know, with Sharon, I hope you're on Sharon. Sharon was on last week. She did such an awesome job, didn't she, y'all? Give her some more hearts for today. Give everybody some more hearts. You know, Sharon mentioned I am disease. And I told y'all I was going to bring the poem so you can hear it. The thing is vicious. It's so clear. It's so hateful. It's so disgusting. You're going to see why we say this thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I'll tell you, any recovering addict on here, or if you haven't heard it, well, get prepared to hear it, because it don't tell no lies, and it lets you know what it's doing, why it's here, what it's going to do, you know what I mean? And it's going to explain all the matrix I told you about, you know, in the head, the voice, the puzzle, you know, the whole 9 yards. So once I go through a little bit, I'm going to read that poem to you. You know, I'm going to start off. Let me get the glasses on, because I know that's next, you know, because I can't see. But I'm going to start off with, you know, the 12 steps. You know, the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, as Alcoholic Anonymous, is broke down into 12, I call them 12 rules, 12 pieces of medication, you know, all in one. 1 to 3 is to give it up, you know, surrender, you know what I mean, admit, and drugs and alcohol, you know, and realize that they have become unmanageable to your life. 4 to 8 is cleanup, you know, taking a moral inventory, a fearless moral inventory on self is 4. That's where I'm at. I'm always there. You know what I mean? That's where I stay majority of the time, most importantly for me in my life, because taking inventory is so important. It is so important. And being fearless by doing it. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes we get scared. You know, we don't want to surrender, you know, to some of the things that we do or we have done, you know, because, you know, once you go from step 1 to 3, you know, you just start, you know, feeling it, you know, trying to build trust, you know, trying to build some honesty, you know what I mean, in yourself, you know, and it seemed like a lot, because at the same time that you were trying to understand these 12 steps, disease is steady on the side of you, still rumbling you know, trying to hold you back. You know what I mean? So the battle is not yours. Believe me when I tell you that. The battle, you know, is your higher power. You know, once you submit, surrender, and find a higher power that's greater than yourself to help you store sanity. You know what I mean? Once you start restoring your sanity, you know what I mean? You start building up some strength, some, you know that you got, you know, your higher power there to, you know, take this battle for you. You know, you just got to do the part that you got to do. You know, I say, and that's 4 to 8. 4 to 8 is cleaning up. You got to, you know, make amends. You know what I mean? You're going to get into that part where you have to, first you have to, you have to admit to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact natures of our wrongs. That's sharing. That's basically kind of like, you know, finding somebody, finding another person, a sponsor, you know what I mean, somebody you can talk to, somebody you can try to build trust up with, that still, you know, have faith and trust in you. That's the type of person I would say, you know, to get with. And then we entirely are ready to have God remove all these defects of characters. We have so many defects of character, even if you're not on drugs and alcohol. Everybody got some defects of characters. You hear what I'm saying? You know, but people can see ours, like, you know, boom, 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 you know, yours is this, yours is that, yours is this. But take inventory. Step 4, I was just talking about on yourself, and check your defects of characters out. You know, check out some of the things that you need to, you know, surrender to and awaken to, you know, because for us, we have to do that in order to find ourselves. So I know if you do it for you, you'll find more out about yourself too. You know what I mean? Besides the fact, that's why I said, you know, for me, I live by the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous, and it's not for everybody, you know, but I suggest it, you know, as my suggestions. I suggest the 12 steps, you know, because it gave me direction. You know, it gave me something. If I get a headache, I can go take some medication, and that headache will most likely go away. You know what I mean? To help me stabilize myself, you know, and to dig into me as I should, you know, find me out, you know, that's what it is basically all about. And it's restoring my sanity. It keeps my sanity going, you know. But any one of these steps, if I'm having a situation or a problem, I can go to them all. But you know what? I choose them all. I have no special one, no hooked on one. You know what I mean? I just know taking more inventory on yourself is much needed, you know, for almost any and everything. Trust me when I tell you that. Now, I can definitely say for me, you know. And step 9 and 12, you know, you have to go around, you have to make amends to people too. You know, that's in 4 and 8. You have to make amends to people. But first, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is showing you how to make amends to yourself as well. You know, all these things that we have to do in these steps is going to allow us to be able to bring, you know, these amends and all these different things to you, you know, honestly, you know, because we done already piled you up with a bunch of lies and all kinds of stuff. That's just natural, you know, for an addict. And sometimes you ain't even got to be an addict. You just damn lie. You know what I mean? You just like, hey, King, you told me you'll be on here. Hey, Ransom. Hey, nephew, Kahim. Hey, Steve, how you doing, folks? And then when you get to 9 to 12 is makeup. You know what I mean? It's like made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admit it. You know what I mean? That's coming out that lie. You know, we live a life of a lie in addiction, in addictive behavior. We just lie. We just damn lie. We gonna lie. You know what I mean? Ain't no way you're not gonna lie. You know what I mean? Because if you say you're not lying or you don't lie, you're lying. You know what I mean? So digging deep on a lie is big. Getting honest is huge. You know what I mean? And these two is like, you know, together. It's like the devil and the angel. You know, you got to make a choice, and you got to dig deep, and you got to get honest. Even if it hurts. You know, they say no pain, no gain. You know, there's a lot of things that, you know, I lied about that, you know, once I got, you know, started getting my life together. You know, it hurts. It hurts that I did some of the things I did. It hurts that I said some of the things that I said. You know, but I can't take that day back. I can't take that back. I can only make amends today. You know what I mean? Now, whether or not I'm getting accepted, my amends is being accepted or not, I have to live and let live, you know, and let God with that. But know that I did what I know I needed to do, you know, to help me, you know, restore my sanity, you know. 11, you know, says sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand Him. Praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry it out. I'm doing that. I'm doing that right now. You know what I mean? If I just say to another suffering addict or alcoholic, that even somebody that's just laying in the street, or somebody that's having a bad day sitting on the bench, and I say, you know what, can I pray for you? You know, or, you know, have a great day. You know, sometimes that can help people. You know what I mean? You never know what people are going through. It just makes you kind. It makes you serene, you know, because God do give us the serenity. You know what I mean? And you'll start feeling all these beautiful feelings, that disease have allowed to be tucked in, in its remission. You know what I mean? This is why learning these 12 steps and having a tool and some structure, to help you to battle disease is much needed, and then we know how we'll learn how to, once we listen to hear, to see, we'll learn how to put this disease in remission itself, but, we are our own engines, you know what I mean? And everybody builds their train the way that they do, for what medication works for you may not work for me or may not work for somebody else, but it has to work for you. And as long as it's working for you, that's what you need, So, and once you start, you read these steps and you may find these steps, good for you and that can help you. Me, you just can't tell me stuff. You know what I mean? I have to have structure. I have to have somebody come at me with certain things. I don't really have to do that today, but in my early addiction, yeah, because you couldn't tell me nothing. Just like Sharon, and Stacy and all of them that was on here. We all share these stories, and our stories is basically nearly the same. We just different people. You know what I mean? But somewhere in everybody who's been on here sharing, we have said something to the same sense. You know what I mean? Because disease don't discriminate. So, when you get, through these 12 steps and you come to believe in them, you know what I mean? Now you have a structure. Now you have medication. I call it medication. I didn't allow them to throw all that stuff on me, all them pills and all that crap. An opioid for an opioid. They didn't even do that back in the day. Not like that. Back in the day, it was only methadone. Today you got all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Because you got all kinds of drugs now, and they mixing drugs with everything. It makes things much harder and more difficult for the average person to even get through it. You know what I mean? So you need that structure, and you need to accept the challenge. You know what I mean? For me, this is like a challenge. You have to accept the fact that you're ready to put yourself through this quote-unquote normal way of living. And now your normal way of living is drugs. Your normal way of living is your addictive behaviors. You know what I mean? The normal way of living is being a liar. The normal way of living is out there doing everything you could possibly do to get a fix. You know what I mean? Or to have a drink. So now we got to learn how to reverse it. And for me, structure of the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous has definitely helped me and brought me back to my senses. And I truly believe in them with all my heart. And I would recommend them to anyone. Don't mean that what works for me is going to work for you. Just know that part. You know what I mean? But it's working for a whole lot of us. Some people are they say stronger than others. Well, however you find the way, do what the way is telling you to do, as long as you're being fixed. As long as you find that higher power, you change your lifestyle, you stop using drugs and alcohol, you become those mothers, you become them fathers, you become those grandparents, you know what I mean? You start loving yourself so that you can have love to share, with all of this, as the mother, the grandmother, the father, the daughter, the brother, the sister. You know what I mean? You have to love you first before you can give love to anybody else. And I'm not saying, you know what? I was asked a question by an addict, one of my clients. She said, well, I love my kids. You know what I mean? She said, I love my family. I love my mother. You know what I mean? I just don't love me no more. I told her what I can say, how it worked for me, was I did too. I believe we all do. You know what I mean? But the disease wouldn't allow me to show the love. The disease wouldn't allow me to be the person I was before I started doing drugs. It took me, it took me silently. It took me without even realizing and recognizing the fact that it was taking me. I wouldn't have just let this happen. You know what I mean? If I knew it was happening, but I believed that it couldn't happen to me. I hope y'all hear me. I believe that thing couldn't happen to me because I'm that girl. I'm that, I'm a beast. You know what I mean? But that thing was happening the minute I hit that pipe, and I loved it. You know what I mean? Snorting it, it was all right. You know, snorting it, I didn't even know the insanity in me when I was snorting cocaine. I couldn't even breathe. You know what I mean? I couldn't breathe after I snorted cocaine. I snorted cocaine for some years. I couldn't breathe after I snorted. I was just hooked on Sinex as I was the drug itself. I couldn't breathe. But in my head, it was, you know, this is not crazy to me. You know, this is just what I become because I needed the cocaine because I snorted it like crazy. You know what I mean? But I couldn't stop it. You know, so the disease had already was doing what it was doing. I just didn't know. You know what I mean? Because it allowed me to work. It allowed me to be home. It allowed me to, you know, act as if I'm normal. You know what I mean? But it was taking things from me, myself from me slowly and surely until I was convinced that it's just not, you know, it's no problem. You know, but when I smoked it, when I smoked it, I used to refuse to smoke. I would not smoke cocaine because it used to be going just like that. Mine used to be lasting. You know, I could have a nice bag of cocaine and have for a whole day. You know, nope. When I smoked that thing, you can't even have it for a second. That thing went from a day to a second. You know what I mean? And it felt better. That's the crazy part. It went from a day, you know, being able to have a bag of cocaine to when I smoked it and took it in a second. You know, did I recognize that? No, it was just fine. You know what I mean? It just made me make me run for more. You know, slowly but surely it's just taking you. You don't even realize it because it already had me from the get-go when I started smoking marijuana and I thought I was in control. You know, all that gave me courage to move on with drugs and alcohol and be cool and be sharp and be fly and be all that at the same time. And at the whole time of all these different drugs that I had in my life, I thought that they wasn't hurting me at all. I thought I had the control of it. I thought I knew that, you know, I'm cool. I mean, I know I ain't gonna never let that stuff mess me up. Shucks. The whole time it was doing it. It's a silent little beast. You know what I mean? I know today I could talk about this shit today. I could talk about all about this little monster. You know what I mean? To try to help the still suffering and people who's doing it or the people who trying to do it or even want to do it like it's the thing to do and it's not. You know what I mean? I'm going to tell the world. I'm going to tell everybody that I possibly can that it's just a little sneaky liar. It's a little sneaky liar that it is, that it made me a little sneaky liar. And I really believed everything that wasn't right, that was right. You know what I'm saying? That it was just crazy how it reversed my life. You know what I mean? And I'm trying to reverse my life back, and it beat me up even more. This thing is cunning, baffling, and powerful. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. I'm going to tell y'all, cunning, baffling, and powerful. And I'm glad, and I'm so happy that I put those 12 steps in my life. I am so happy that I made it to that rehab. You know, they was trying to get me to go to the rehab for years. You know, for a long time. You know what I mean? And I just didn't feel as though I needed. You know what I mean? When I was snorting, I ain't have to go no detox. I ain't have to do none of that because I was still on my groove, on my game. You know, intoxicated at all times. That gets you intoxicated. It's poison. It's no different than drinking a drink. You know what I mean? The drink ain't no different than a drug and a poison than cocaine or heroin. You know, and a lot of these names and a lot of this stuff people say, you know, we judge it. Oh no, drinking is fine. Drinking is not fine. Drinking is one of the #1 killers, to be honest. You know what I mean? And we sip on it and we be pretty with it. And we do the same thing with the cocaine, you know, just in the style of the drugs. You know what I mean? I'm thinking I'm cute with a freaking Scarface wife nails on my nails, like I'm that girl, you know, snorting cocaine like I'm that thing. You know what I mean? How crazy is that? You know, to me it wasn't crazy. To me it was my rep. To me, I was looking good doing that. To me, I was killing those nails. I only had 2 because she only had 2. I forgot her name, but the wife, Tony Montana's wife. you know, on Scarface. I used to really admire that. I was on that thing. You hear me? Like, it was all right to be doing that. And here they got it on TV like it's all right. You know what I mean? This a movie. They ain't snorting nothing, but I'm snorting the real deal, dying. You know what I mean? And they making money, you know, laying back, selling the product, because that's how I look at it today. All those drug movies ain't doing nothing but selling the product, and devil God them, making them believe that this is this and this is that, and this is nothing but death. It ain't nothing but a death call. That's all those movies are. I'm not even interested in a lot of them like that no more. You know what I mean? I'm still, you know, like the movies and stuff, but some of them I just can't get down. Like, I can't watch Scarface no more. I'm glad. You know what I mean? It was a trigger for me. You know what I mean? That's the reason why I can't watch Scarface. Not that I even want the drug. It sounds crazy, but this is real. This is real. You know, it ain't nothing crazy about what you say in recovery. It ain't nothing crazy about what you say, you know, when you on drugs, man. This thing is real. And the way you find out about it is you got to bring up that real thing, that emotion and stuff, you know. And disease is cunning, babbling, and powerful, and it'll make you feel like you stupid. It'll make you feel like you sound dumb. Hell, I don't sound dumb. I'm putting out some real stuff. You know, I'm helping people understand that it's okay. You know what I mean? Because you wasn't alone, man. This thing had me crazy. It had me nuts. And half the people couldn't even see it when it was going on. That's the crazier part about it. You know, you still think I'm normal. I'm tore up from the damn flow up. You follow? From the flow up. You know? Feeling like I'm functioning. Feeling like nobody see it until... Going back to that thing, y'all, until where I left off, I smoked it. I put it in a pipe. That was a never say never thing that I did. I couldn't see myself doing that. And as many as time, I tried at least like 3 times. Never did I get effect from it. I was with a man. There go that thing. That's how disease works. He gonna pull another one on you. He gonna pull something on you because he gonna make it work. He gonna make it happen. You follow? Because he know he got the thought in my head. You know what I mean? Or he know he allowed me to try it. You know what I'm saying? I just had to do it with the right person. Crazy. I know today, but it was that thing. That day. You follow? Today, I know better. That day, I did not. But I still had them same thoughts and feelings in my head that they can't hurt me. I ain't gonna let that thing take me like that. I ain't getting like that. Man, when I got that feeling, I can't describe how good it made me feel. My entire body, everything. It had to last for like maybe 2 minutes. That was the only 2 minutes in my life of my addiction that I felt it. The only. I became a junkie, addict right after that. Because right after that, I started chasing it. I started chasing it and didn't even acknowledge that that's what I was doing. And guess what? Every time I did it again, it was never like the first time. It was appearing to be like it got weaker. Then in my mind, the matrix is starting to happen now, baby. The matrix is starting to break up even more in my brain. I felt like I was stabilized when I was snorting, but that matrix started, that devil, I'm telling you, that disease, he started breaking up the brain even more. He chipped the pieces up so much that I couldn't even see the pieces. Then I couldn't even find them. Couldn't find the whole time of my addiction. This is how this disease works. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And this is what it did. I chased and I chased, and I blamed and I blamed, and I had enough of that stuff around me to not even worry about it at that time. Me and the gentleman, you know what I mean, paid, had it. We was in that mist with the people who had it. You know what I mean? So it was easy access to get, and guess what? Every time we got it, it didn't do no different than it did the last time, but I never felt the same feeling twice. Now that's some sick stuff. That's some crazy, insane stuff. When you can't feel the same stuff that you doing, you can't feel it no more, and you'll never feel it again. But you don't believe that because the matrix is all over the place. You follow what I'm saying? And it won't allow you to believe it. Disease is just a nasty little critter. That's all it is. I can't stand it. I can't stand it today. That's why I'm going to tell everybody about it. I'm going to tell everybody about this nasty little dog. It don't care nothing about me. Made me feel so good. I'm hungry now. I'm hungry for this thing now. I felt great. Yeah, I told you, Tiger said, I feel great. You follow? Oh, I wanted it more and more and more. And every time I tried to get it, it never worked. Never worked until I realized that I was weighing 82.5 pounds. Now, you know that's sick. That's sick. The mother I wasn't no more. The sister I wasn't no more. The friend I wasn't no more. The person that I was not no more. You follow what I'm saying? And didn't even know it. Didn't even know it. Insanity. That's the insanity part of this. That's what those 12 steps help you to understand and help you to realize. You know what I mean? That you have to surrender. You know, you have to surrender. You know, and know that your life has become unmanageable. You have to surrender. You know, so, you know, for me, again, you know, I always shoot into some of me, you know, in my story because it's on the eye. And that's another thing I want to bring to you guys. I hope you guys been seeing my reels and my clips called On the Eye. On the Eye is just doing what I'm doing right now, but it just breaks it up into little pieces, you know what I mean? So people can hear it, you know, for themselves. It's like a personal thing if you want to, you know, continue to follow them. Follow them because there's going to be some great pieces coming up. You know what I mean? I'm going to try to put this thing out the best way I possibly can. They now even are on Instagram and TikTok. You know what I'm saying? Let's use this technology that these devils got. You know what I mean? And let's put some real stuff on there. Let's help people instead of blind people. You know what I mean? Because there's a lot of that on there too. You know what I mean? But when I went on there anyway, I saw other people doing the same thing that I'm doing. Hey, look, I joined them. I'm joining them now. You know what I mean? Let's get to know each other. It's just like going to a convention. You know what I'm saying? You know, the NA conventions, you know, and the AA conventions, they awesome, y'all. They just know they're big parties. They're big parties with people celebrating, loving themselves. That's all it is, and spreading the word, soldiering for our higher power who's greater than ourselves, you know, who helped us restore our sanity, you know, and who has it in us, in our heart, in true belief and honesty to know that God is power. You follow what I'm saying? He is my everything. He's everything to me. You know what I mean? And disease had me not liking him. Disease had me not understanding him. Disease wouldn't allow me to focus on him. You know what I mean? But it can't now. Can't do it now because, see, without him, I wouldn't have been able to defeat and fight this thing every day of my life like I do and deal with situations that come in my life. You know what I mean? The devil, disease, is always sending something through to try to break me because I'm trying to help you. You know what I'm saying? And it's okay because I understand it today because Prayer Warriors was over top of me and allowed me to understand what I couldn't understand. You follow? And I'm back. You know what I mean? Greater than ever, I'm back because guess what? I surrendered. I surrendered. I did what I had to do. I surrendered, you know, and I can't doubt my higher power for nothing. You know, nobody, you understand what I'm saying? Because I know disease comes through people. It comes through places and it comes through things, you know, but it's so vicious. It will slide in as strong as you think you are and as powerful as you think you are. You know what I mean? I call myself Optimus Prime. Y'all know that. You know what I mean? But I ain't too powerful for sickness. Sickness is a beast. You follow what I'm saying? But I know that I got a higher power that will shut it down. You understand what I'm saying? I know that even more. And sometimes the human part of me will make me look at things different. You know what I mean? And not know how to understand them or take them. You know, but then here come people in my life to help me understand what this devil that I call disease is doing. You know, and put me right back in my perspective. And it put me right back on my track because I refuse to go in the negative way of it. You know what I mean? I'm going to go into the positive way of it. And I'm going to have my God do what he do. And I'm going to live and let go. Or I'm going to live and let God. You know what I'm saying? You know, and hopefully, you know, whatever these situations may be, you know, will come out on the good side. You know, on a positive side. And if it don't, it's not for me. You know, but getting back to the 12 steps. I'm going to read a little bit about what the 12 steps promises are to us. And I don't share a whole lot of it just now, but I'm going to read a little bit about what the promises are. The promises says, the one, if we are painstaking about the phase of our development, We will be amazed before we are halfway through. And that's a fact. When you get through 1 to 3 and 4, I'm telling you, after 4, you'll start feeling so more secured about yourself. You'll get more protective over yourself. I know that's how it worked for me. You know what I mean? It made me feel like, you know what I mean? I know what I've done, but it's over. I can't do it anymore. I could feel my heart now. I could feel my emotions now. You know, disease shuts emotions off when you don't even realize that they're off. You know what I mean? Then your mouth start getting all crazy and your thoughts and your feelings and all that stuff. You know what I mean? But when you get through, you know, coming to believe in these 12 steps, you know what I mean? It gives you that back, but it gives you that back with a feeling just like that first hit gave me with the pipe. That's what it did with me. You know what I mean? And it was like, I am fighting. I am starting to live again. I'm starting to feel, I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this more. You know what I mean? It just, you know, going through, you know, the remaining steps just started. It's just like living. It put me right on the pattern of living my life with a higher power in it, and knowing that I am somebody, knowing that I can do so much better, knowing that I know I'm going to have to face these people, you know what I mean? I don't have to go in these places, and I don't have to do the same things that I have to do. I don't have to deal with the people, places, or the things. You know what I mean? I know how to make a choice now. You know, I can live with myself for all the things that I did, you know what I mean? And with everybody knowing what I was doing. I can live with it today. You know what I mean? It keeps me alive, you know, to know that what I was doing has brought me to this horizon to where I'm at today. You know what I mean? So I don't want to forget. We can't forget. You know what I'm saying? That's a part of my medication now too, because I've accepted things I can't change. I've changed the things I can, and now I have the wisdom to know the difference. I know how to face it when it comes, but I'm still aware. See, we grow with it every day. We learn every day. This is why they say don't get cocky. You know what I mean? Because that situation that I was telling y'all about, you know what I mean? It's coming to a groove. It's coming to an end. You know what I mean? When you let God have it. You follow? I let my higher power have it, because disease was battling me, not to use. It was battling my mental. You know what I mean? Because, you know, that's a big part of it. It was battling my mental. You know, this is when I know I have some mental health, you know, situation. Anytime I was doing some freaking dope. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's all part of it. You know what I mean? It's all part of it too. You know, like it's in different categories of I'm going to say a style of mental health. You know what I mean? Levels of mental health. You know what I mean? That is definitely in our lives as addicts. You know what I mean? And alcoholics. You know, we are doing some insane stuff. You don't even know what the stuff is doing to us, that this stuff done took us from ourselves. And what you call it? You know what I mean? I call it mental health. You follow? All a part of it. I call it psych. You know, all a part of it. I have to submit these things and surrender these things to myself, because it ain't nothing normal about it. It ain't nothing that I should be doing. You know, it ain't nothing that's going to help save me. It's killing me. You know what I mean? And if it's killing me, it's killing my loved ones. You watch me die. You know what I'm saying? Killing myself. You know, this thing is vicious. It's cunning, baffling, and powerful. And we have to try to help as many people as we possibly can. And then the promises also say we are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. Absolutely. How many on here that's in recovery is at that point right now? How many in here in recovery hear what I'm saying? Send me some hearts, because y'all know I love these hearts. And that hearts make my heart say that I know that I'm doing the right thing. It makes me say that I know that I'm being heard. You know what I mean? And if you haven't, you will. You will start feeling happiness. You most certainly will. Because you are the engine, like I said. You know, and if you come to believe in this, it's only going to take you up. It's going to take you up. You're going to be building those wings up, I'm telling you, because I'm definitely trying to get some wings. It ain't no doubt about that. You know, it say we will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. That's my point. I'm not going to shut the past off me. And a lot of people do this. They like, oh, I don't do that no more. You know, well, I got through that already. I ain't got to worry about that no more. Yes, you do. You got to always know that it happened, but just not to allow it to happen again. Y'all understand what I'm saying? You got to remember that. You got to know that was the beating. You know what I mean? That was the poison. That was the devil. That was disease. He's cunning, babbling, and powerful. You got to always remember, because we can't get ripe. We can't get too ripe. Did I say that right? We can't get, we have to stay ripe. You know what I mean? We have to stay where we don't get, we can't get too ripe. You know, I try to use some of these things that I hadn't used in a while and I be putting them down, but I'll catch myself. You know what I'm saying? We have to, no, I was right. You can't get too ripe. They say we have to stay green. That's how it goes. So when you hear something like that in recovery, that's what that means. Don't get too cocky. Don't get like, okay, I'm past that, I'm better than that now, and I'm this and I'm that. Even though you are. You know what I mean? Even though you did grow from that. Even though you did come, get on top of that. You know what I'm saying? But you can't think that it won't happen again because you're still sick. You're still sick. People don't like when I say that, some people, but that's okay because they don't understand this battle. You know what I mean? They don't understand disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. They didn't get that whooping like I got that whooping. You know what I mean? So I know what works for me. Say it all the time. Girl, ain't nothing wrong with you now. You've been off them drugs for a long time. Look at me. Appreciate that. You know what I mean? Appreciate everybody saying that. Girl, you look good. You lucky. You this, you that. Appreciate that too. But guess what? I believe in the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous. I believe in a higher power greater than myself that has helped me restore my sanity. I have a disease that's cunning, baffling, and powerful. You understand what I'm saying? And works through people, places, and things. And you never know the people or the place or the things that's going to come at you to try to break you down in a good way. Through your people, your own people, your children, your mothers, your fathers, your loved ones. It don't matter. This thing is vicious. And you have to always be aware and keep it in front of you and not behind you. You always do. And that don't mean I'm going to walk around and be around you and like, oh, she could be diseased. It ain't like that. It don't feel like that. It's just the wisdom to know the difference. You know what I mean? It becomes normal. It becomes, like I promise you, it becomes a normal lifestyle. You start feeling better. You start getting, like it was saying, happier. You start getting wiser. You just have to believe in what you believe. You have to believe in this medication that was offered to us in 12 steps. You follow what I'm saying? And when you start seeing these things happen for real, you're going to feel these things are happening for real, and then you're going to know these things are happening for real. You know what I mean? You can't stop. You can't say, okay, I don't need that no more. You fighting a vicious devil. You fighting the devil. You fighting a vicious disease. Like I said, it's cunning, babbling, and powerful. This thing is quiet. This thing is quiet. It's a sneaky little devil. It's a sneaky little devil. And you always have to be aware that you have this sickness. We can't stop thinking that. You know what I mean? I know I'm not. I know I'm not. I'm in full force, 100. You know what I'm saying? 100. And nobody could turn this around for me because it's me. It's my life. It's my higher power. And it is my walk. It's not yours. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that in a vicious way or a vulgar way. I'm saying it because it's what I have to do. I'm saying it because it works for me. And I can't let somebody else tell me that it doesn't. I can't make nobody else believe that this thing don't work like it's working. But I know sometimes seeing is believing, and change is constant, and there's nothing constant but change. You know what I mean? And anybody can look in your eyes and see that a person is changing. It's because they don't want to. You follow what I'm saying? And they don't want to see that. Sometimes people want to see you just like you was. You understand? Until they see you in the box, and then they'll say, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it. You know what I mean? She was this and she was that. Okay, I see that a lot too. You know what I mean? I see it a whole lot. But guess what? I know me and my conscious contact know. I know that. I know I can count on them for anything. As long as I do as it tells me to do, and I follow these rules and regulations, and I take my medication every day, I'm going to be all right until he wants me to go. Because I tell you, he saved me through a lot. A whole lot. A whole lot. It's like a miracle sitting here Any of us who comes through and get the understanding of sickness. Any of us. We are miracles. We are miracles and oh so blessed. We are miracles. You catch some of y'all that's on this thing because I'm getting a little hype over here a little bit. When I finish this 12 promises. It also says that, I mean, so far it ain't stirred me wrong. You know, it says we will comprehend the word serenity. Here it is. We'll comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you. This thing is so real. It is so right. It is so honest. It is so beautiful. You know, the feeling of peace is just serenity. It's just so calm. You know what I mean? It's being aware. You know, it's being alert. You know, it's believing. You know, it's loving. You know, being able to love on. You know what I mean? And to love off. You follow? It is beautiful. It is so beautiful. And it says the feeling of unlessness and self-pity will disappear. Glasses off again for that. I do not feel sorry for myself anymore. You follow what I'm saying? It was a time in my struggle. I felt so sorry for me when I realized what I became. You know what I mean? I felt sorry because disease had me still stuck. My puzzle was still up there and I was pulling some of the wrong pieces. You know what I mean? But then at the end of the day, I still feel bad. You know? Vicious. I still feel bad, but not today. You know what I mean? Today I have spirit. Today I have strength in me. Today I have belief in me. You know what I mean? Today I have a higher power who protects me. You know, that's greater than myself. And all this is believing in it. You know, all this is believing in it. And before I started believing in it, I had to come to believe in it. You know, and I'm at that point. I'm at that point. And it works, y'all. This thing works. This thing put the pieces to my puzzle back together again. And there's still some pieces missing up there. I haven't quite yet ran into them yet, you know. But just recently, when I was telling y'all, some pieces came flying at me, man. It was all over the place, and I didn't know how to fix them. I didn't know how to deal with them. I didn't know how. It was just taking me to a whole nother level until I got stuck in being stuck in pain. That's crazy. You know what I mean? Just got stuck in it because I didn't know how to fix it. But you know what? I was told to pray about it. And I had prayers coming at me left and right. And guess what it did? Lifted. It lifted. This thing worked. Hey, sis. What's up? My sister Diane, y'all, I love her. It says, our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. I'm telling y'all, this thing works if you work it. You know, things I used to do, I'm not even interested no more. You know what I mean? That's even in partying and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'll go out, I hang out, but what is out there for me? You know what I mean? You know, my peace and serenity is here, right here. You know, I don't have a problem. That's a big change in me. I never stayed in the house. I leave kids. I roll out. You know what I'm saying? No, my peace is right here. My peace is when I pray. My peace is when I wake up in the morning and say thank you, you know, God, for another day. You know, bless everybody, God. You know what I mean? I put a lot of me into him today that lifts me up, you know, and it's making me, like, I'm even trying to stop cussing. Y'all notice I don't cuss on here because I think it's that time. You know what I'm saying? It ain't easy either. I'm telling you. At least I'm trying not, you know, to pull out the big F words, the big bombs. Sometimes the big bombs still come out if somebody make me mad or, you know, in that certain people, places, and things. You know what I'm saying? And I have to recognize that and use my tools so I can get better with that. But it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I already know it is. You know? Because it's awful to hear the stuff that come out your mouth sometimes. You know, at 65 years old. You know what I'm saying? It's time to make change with that. It says, fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. I ain't got no shame in my game to go out there and people know, where I've been, what I was doing, the whole 9 yards. I ain't got no privacy there. But I can't even say nothing on that. But I don't have a problem with sharing everything. You don't have to hear nothing. You can ask me the question, I'll tell you. You know what I mean? If I think it's worthy of even talking to you. If you're coming in good malice, yes. If you're coming in mean malice, get out of my face. You follow what I'm saying? But especially to the people who deserves to hear it, because it's a part of my amends to you. You know what I mean? I still got people who don't deal with me from things that I done, and what they found out, things that I done. And I pray for them. I apologize for anything that I don't even remember. You know what I mean? But I just can't go and just put my whole time on trying to remember. You know what I'm saying? If it's something like I did in my early recovery, people saying, girl, you did this and you said this. I didn't remember a lot of it. But I made amends for it anyway. I made amends for it anyway, because guess what it did? It lifted off me. The weight lifted off me. And the challenge of my sickness was becoming lighter. And my world was becoming more peaceful. You know what I mean? And that's the goal. That's my goal. You know what I'm saying? To just have peace. Have peace, have love. Be able to do, the things that I do today. I'm getting there, y'all. I'm getting there. I'm not perfect. You know what I mean? But I'm happy. That's for sure. I'm not perfect, and I love myself. That's for sure. I love myself unconditionally, and that's a whole lot. That's a whole lot. That's why who I am today. You know what I mean? Because I can share the love, and I can share the peace. I ain't gonna make everybody happy. Not even my family, children, or anybody else. We're gonna always deal with something because I know disease is coming one way or the other. You know what I mean? But I ain't got to lie out about nothing. You know what I mean? I could face my fears, today. I could talk about anything today. If I remember and I know I can do that. And I'm not going to let anybody make me think that I'm lying. You know what I mean? If I'm lying, I'm going to tell you I was lying my butt off. You know what I mean? But there's no need for lying today. I don't have to do that anymore. You know what I mean? I lied to you. I lied to me. And I'm not going to lie to myself. You know what I mean? Lies being crossed out and aware of. You follow what I'm saying? That's one of the things I have to stay aware of. You follow? But I'm not going to just bluntly out lie. You know what I mean? I am fixing that. I am working on that. And I always have to stay aware of that. You know what I mean? Now, if I don't know something, you know what I mean? Ain't no sense in me saying anything. You understand what I'm saying? Ain't no sense in me saying anything because I ain't going to make it up. How about that? But it's a beautiful feeling. This peace is good. And I want more and more and more of it. I do. I want a lot and a whole lot more of it. You know what I mean? This love that I give and the love that I share, I want more and more and more of it. It's things that I would want to work on, but the devil is always in the middle of it. You know what I mean? And I just got to figure out like how to do certain things. Is it even worth it? Am I willing to do it or not? I have to make all these decisions and choices before I can even begin, on certain things that's just not working for me. You know what I mean? But it's just not all about me either. I'm a woman with a family. I'm a woman with children. I'm a woman with grandchildren. I'm a woman with great-grandchildren, and I'm aware of how the devil works. I'm aware of how my disease works. And sometimes things get difficult. You know what I mean? And I have to know when I need to share, with my sponsors or somebody that I trust in, that I know that I can talk to help me solve certain things. I'm not no genius. I'm not smart. I'm still human. You know what I mean? I'm still human, and people just judge. They do. They judge. Children, everybody, they judge, But what I say is use all that energy and take inventory on you. You know what I mean? Because you real focused on me and what my past was or what I done. You know what I mean? Focus on yourself. You know what I mean? Because taking this light weight off yourself is going to be great. You know what I mean? Because people can look at you better than they think of all the shit that they done themselves. It's like blocking self and bringing you up. You know what I mean? And what they see, what they feel as though they know. You know what I mean? It's a reason behind everything. It's a reason behind everything. And for me, I got no shame in my game. You know what I mean? Things that I just went through is just only make me stronger. That's all. It's just putting me more on those wings, getting me closer to the wings. You know what I mean? You know? But another one say one of the promises is we will and typically know how to handle situations which used to be baffling to us. That's all of what I was just saying. You know what I mean? Without even getting to that one. I didn't know that one was coming up. You know what I mean? But this is just how, you know, this medication works for you. You know, and then it said we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Absolutely. 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 You know, and it says, and these extravagant promises, we think not. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. You know, just hang in there. Just hang in there. Don't give up. Just hang in there, because all this is coming. All of this be coming. Don't forget, you are the engine. You know what I mean? And you have the medication. You know, there's no speed limit on it. You rush, you slip. You rush, you forget. You rush, you get angry. You rush, you get disappointed. You know what I mean? One day at a time. And every day, you know, like Sharon was telling you guys, starts with a second. I say that all the time. You know, and they will always materialize if we work for them, these steps, you know, and that is so true. You know, I told you guys that I was going to read to you all about the poem that Sharon had mentioned to you guys. I give this to all my clients, you know, as much as I can. You know, this was the same poem that made me believe and understand my disease. And if I would have seen this before I went through all the recovery and all that, this thing would have made so much sense to me. You know what I mean? If I would have been able to believe it, I doubt it. But hearing this today is exactly the thoughts and the things that disease has been in our minds. It says, I am disease. It's telling you who it is. I am disease. I hate meetings. You know, they say meeting makers make it. I hate higher powers. You know, we have to have a higher power greater than ourselves. I hate anyone who has a program. Anybody who has something that can weaken this disease and bring disease to light to you, it hates. You know, I'm kind of ad-libbing off of myself on certain things, but I hate this thing. You know, it says, to all who come in contact with me, I wish you death. And I wish you to suffer. Allow me to introduce myself. I am disease of addiction. Cunning, baffling, and powerful. This time, all the time. I have killed millions, and I am pleased about it. I love to catch you with the element of surprise. Everything I was talking about. I love pretending I am your friend and lover. I have given you comfort. Have I not? Wasn't I there when you were all alone and lonely? When you wanted to die? Didn't you call on me? I was there. I love to make you hurt. I love to make you cry. Better yet, I can feel anything and make you feel nothing at all. This is true glory. I will give you instant gratification, and I will ask of you and all I ask of you is long-term suffering. I've been there for you always. When things were going right in your life, you invited me. You said you didn't deserve these good things. I was the only one who agreed with you. Together, we are able to destroy all things good in your life. People don't take me serious. They take strokes serious. They take heart attacks serious. Even diabetes they take seriously. Fools. Fools that they are. They don't know they don't know that without my help, these things would not be possible. I am such a hated disease, and yet I do not come uninvited. That's something. It's telling the truth. You chose to have me. So many have chosen me over reality and peace. More than you hate me, I hate all of you who have the 12 steps program. Your program, your meetings, your higher powers, all weakening me, and I can't function in the manner I am accustomed to. Now I must lie here quietly. You don't see me, but I am growing bigger than ever. When you only exist, I may live. When you live, I only exist. But I am here. And until we meet again, if we meet again, I wish you death and suffering. Look, y'all. Punch it. Stop it. You follow what I'm saying? Little nasty little thing. Little nasty little thing. You can get this too, y'all. Anytime you need it, just cause we run into, you know what I mean? And I'll shoot it through the emails if I can. This thing is so real. It's like all this was in my head. It's like whoever wrote this poem never put their name. And when they expressed this thing, oh my gosh, it was just everything that I've been through and the way I felt. And the prison that I was in is right here in black and white. One thing about us in recovery, we write some beautiful poems. Through my time, I moved a lot of times. And I lost a lot of poems that I wrote, But lately I've been writing some more because, writing for an addict or an alcoholic is our best friend. We write very well. Because if you write in the truth, you won't believe what's going to come on the paper. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it could be heartfelt. Sometimes it could be make you very happy. And when you're in your struggles, write about it. I always suggest that to my clients. Write about it. Write what you're feeling at that time. Write the good of your life, and then on another side, write the bad. You know what I mean? Writing has always been a tip and a food and a word and of education to me as an addict to write. So that I do, and I put writing down for a while, but I picked it back up, and it do release. It released so much. It helped keep weight down and off and leveled for me. This IAM disease, I wish everybody who's dealing with this vicious disease can have this, you know what I mean? And maybe from time to time I'll read it, because it explains all, you know what I mean? Everything that I'm saying that I have been accomplishing to get away from and the death threat that's here for me, that convinced me that it was what I needed to do to escape from the world, everybody, including myself, until I die. And, and at the end when it says, it's just gonna, we'll meet again. That's what it wants. That's that manipulation, that thing of saying, you know what I mean? I'm there. I'm here. I'm always be there. I don't care how deep you bury me. You know what I mean? You can't get rid of me because I'm in here. I'm in here. Remember Ike said that to Tina. I'm in here. I'm up here. That's what that little monkey be saying. You know what I mean? I'm in here. I'm going to come through you any way I possibly can. You can't get rid of me now. You know what I mean? You sit with me forever. You just got me in remission. I can't move around. I can't do nothing. You know what I'm saying? And that's where you want to keep it. You want to keep it in remission. You want to keep it out your way. And you want to stay aware of it and keep it in front of you so you can always be aware of you. You know what I mean? Because it is you. Everything we done is because we chose to do it. You know, the insanity of it is what made us more deeper into the blind side of everything. You know what I mean? And to become the zombie of it. You know, using the poison. The poison that was really had blended in with that. That's what it's talking about. You know, when it's talking about the dope. Get me my dope and get me my alcohol. You know what I mean? I'm your friend. Alcohol feels like, you know, that's disease. You know, drugs, that's disease. You know what I mean? And that's your friend. You know what I mean? I've been there for you the whole time you've been doing this. I've been there for you. Ain't nobody else believe in you. That's the ones of us that don't understand addiction and don't understand the power of sickness and that disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful. And we look at it in a way of like, man, you're either embarrassed about them, don't want them around because of the things that this vicious devil make us do. You know what I mean? But know this, your loved one is still inside that body. And that brain, it is still there. We are still here. We just have to be taken care of. We have to want to be sick and tired of this little devil. You follow what I'm saying? And just get tired of being beat down and don't want to die no more. And realize that we are dying because you heard what he said. You know what I mean? It don't allow you to know that you're dying. It's quiet. You know, it's quiet. And it takes you where you just don't have any control. You're in a trance. It's like being in a trance. It is being in a trance. Ain't no like. It is being in a trance. Give me some hearts if somebody on here is recovering and understand that and knows that. You follow what I'm saying? Give me some hearts on that one because y'all know that's real. That's real. We like the Walking Dead. You know what I mean? The dead and alive. Matter of fact, I just went to see Sinners yesterday. That was a good movie. You know, I'm a movie critic. I try to figure stuff out. You know what I'm saying? Which I did. You know, at the beginning, but at the end, when it came back on the, you know, the little remix part, you know what I mean? It was like, dang, you know, I knew this, but I didn't think that, or I didn't think this. It triggered me too. Any type of movie, especially a vampire movie, any type of movie that make me jump is a good movie. Believe that. For me, it's a good movie. And that thing, man, if you ain't see it, go see it because there's a lot of education in it too. There's a lot of our history in it and everything. So go see it. You know, that's the type of things I like to do. That's my piece. I can go to the movies and lay back and just watch a movie, you know, and be happy. You know what I mean? Just be happy. Just be enjoying myself. I couldn't go to no daggone movies when I got high. I couldn't go to no movies when I was out in the street. You know what I'm saying? Wouldn't work. Ain't even in my blood. It wasn't even in my, you know, I couldn't even feel nothing like that. You know what I mean? But today I love it. I love going to the movies and I love watching good movies, you know. That's why they call me a movie critic. But I'm not a movie critic. I just watch a lot of movies. And if it ain't, you know, like I could figure the movie out before the movie is over, I could have waited for cable. I could have waited for the cable, you know. But I want to shout out some of the people. Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Stephanie Williams. Hey, Reese. How you doing, Reese? My sister, hey, Hud. We call Diane Hud. Tracy Dale, how are you? I really need to speak to you, though. I do. Just call me on my messenger if you can. If it's after this or whatever, I just want to ask you a question. Hey, Diane. Hey, Dar. You better come on here. I don't care if it's just to be my company sitting right next to me and just let me get off. You know what I'm saying? Some of you can do that. I would just love to have the company, you know, to come on. Hey, Christy, how you doing? I ain't seen you in a while. Girl, how are you? What's happening? Sheila, how you doing, Sheila? Renee, my girl. That's my daughter's mother-in-law. Look, my girl, Lori Ann. Hey. Val Brown, what's happening? LG Nikki, how are you? You know, Wanda Bolts, love you. I have the tickets now too. You know what I mean? It's a Moonlight special now, so they just $35. Hey, Sophia and Joe, what's up, y'all? Hey, Maya, my niece, Chanel, my sister-in-law. I mean, I love how my family support me with this as well, man. I do. I appreciate y'all so much. I do. We are a family. You know what I mean? And like I said, disease is cunning, baffling, and powerful, and is always trying to get in the way for us. But I love all of y'all. Definitely straight from the heart. You know, hey, Frank. You know, Frank, again, is my nephew. He has a photographing business going on now, y'all. Y'all got to check him out. Darren Austin. Hey, Darren. And Maurice Gidges. I ain't seen you in a while either, Maurice. I said Stevie Boats, Kaheen. You know, Rafi. Who is that? Rafia. Dakeem. Back to Anya, y'all been on for a while. Hey, look, y'all, I appreciate y'all. Y'all know I do so very much. I really do. Times I don't even know what time it is. Let me check it a little bit. But I got plenty of it. Oh yeah, we've been getting it in. There's no doubt about it. You know what I mean? When things is good and people stay on, it's because you want to listen. You know, and you want to hear it. And I'm going to try to bring good things every Wednesday I come on this live. You know what I mean? And never get bored with what's being said, because you have to continue to say it over and over and over again. You know, this disease is vicious and you just can't grab things just like that. I'm good at hands-on, you know, but I find when I'm talking about something that I love doing in my life, that I'm pretty good at sharing it. You know what I mean? That's just my truth, and it's my honesty. You know, it's my surrendering. You know, it's part of my peace. You know what I'm saying? And I don't mind talking about what I talk about, you know, even when it comes to self. You know what I'm saying? And I hope that I am helping somebody, because every week there is always more and more people and names and, you know, familiar names at times that's coming up. I'm also looking for anybody who ever went to Better House. You know, I'm looking for anybody who ever went to Better House. And I know there's a lot of us is on here that has. You know what I mean? I think Better House should be, you know, brought, you know, and get the props that it really needs, because it helps so many of us in Chester. So many of us in Chester. Some of us, unfortunately, didn't make it, and some of us are still out there. But we did. You know what I mean? We did, you know, make it out. You know what I mean? And if it wasn't for that rehab for me, you know, I would have never had a start. I don't see how I would have been able to, you know, help myself fix this problem, you know, just to get on top of it enough to get my life back. You know, not only my life back, it gave me a better life. You know what I mean? And I'm, like I said, I'm gonna shout it out, and I'm gonna recommend it to you. If you are using, you know, I'm going to continue to share this, you know, and soldier for my higher power. You know, I ain't corny, I ain't no square either, y'all. I just love what I do. And the truth feels so good, you know, and change feels so good. You know, I'm growing when I'm listening to like Linda Curry and you know what I mean, Patrice, Michelle, you know, Rashida, all of them. You know what I mean? I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot on the biblical side. You know what I'm saying? And seeing what, you know, is going to work for me. But pretty much I'm saying the same thing. You know, that's where I'm at with that. You know what I mean? But I'm always open for, you know, encouragement. I'm always open for, you know, to listen, you know, because that's how I was able to hear. And this is how I learned things that I know today, you know, and I know how to have a one-on-one. I don't get no arguments and all that kind of stuff, you know, or disagreements about religions and all of that. Hey, it's what worked for whomever. You know what I mean? You know, I feel like God knows what he has you doing. You know what I mean? And he gave all of us a walk to walk. You follow? And nobody can step in that walk. You know, and if it's helping people in categories of people of where they need to be helped, you know what I mean? You know, you can't look at it and say it's not the right way. You know what I mean? I don't knock any religion, any whatsoever, but I love God. You know what I mean? And I know that I found him, you know, for me, my way, you know, but for the 12 steps of Narcotics Anonymous for me, you know, I love these steps, you know, and I live by them just like, you know, you live by yours. You know what I mean? And I know You know, all of them is built off religious programs. You know what I mean? Religious, you know, information. Basically, I'm not going to say program. Mine's is a program. You know, but it's still, you know, based off of a religious program. And we know that, I know that, you know, I know who my higher power is. You know what I mean? It's just the medication and the language that we use in recovery. And I want to continue to do that, to give people opportunities, you know, to choose whom they choose, you know, without being judged, you know, because for us in recovery, we're judged all the time. You know what I mean? We're like a sight to see. You follow what I'm saying? In some people's eyes. Hey, Norman, thanks a lot. And I hope you're coming to the reunion. I hope you're coming to the anniversary. You know, y'all, I'm proud of this, though. I'm so proud. It's a year already. It just went just like that. And I've been on every single Wednesday like it was just yesterday. You know what I mean? Ready every Wednesday. You know, and that's but for the grace of God. You know, and I'm so glad that you guys follow me, and this is, you know, interesting to you. We really get very good rates and high ratings for this. You know what I mean? And it, for me in my heart, it's just like, goodness gracious, you know, it just filled me with a lot of joy, you know, to know the people who are interested and people who are being helped, you know, from this, and the people that is bringing me in contact with to even meet, you know, that's doing the same thing that I'm doing and living the same lifestyle of recovery. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, so again, don't forget, you can watch this on YouTube, y'all. You know, hopefully my granddaughter's going to put these other ones up. I think it's about that time. You know what I mean? But she's busy too. She works, travels, she does all of that, you know, and it's at least like maybe 50 of them on YouTube already. And the blessing about it is I have new, you know, people that's calling me and coming, you know, tell me, look, girl, I started watching, you know, from the beginning, you know what I mean? I'm on this one, or I'm on that one, I'm on this one, you know what I mean? And, you know, a lot of my clients, Miss T, I watched them all. That touches my heart, you know, to have my clients, you know, that are in recovery now, you know, well, former clients, you know, that are, you know, they all still my brothers and sisters that's in recovery now. And I have a few on here right now. You know what I mean? Hey, look, y'all, keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? I told you I busted up just like I do in group. You would get a little bit more graphic in group, but, you know, I keep it real. You know, it's all about being authentic, you know, and have no shame to our game. You know, it's quite a few of them on here, y'all. And God bless you. I'm so glad that you are receiving, you know, the medication, the real medication that you should be receiving. You know, I tell you, it works if you work it, you know, but I know time is going by. It always do. It flies by, whether or not I don't have a guest, I'm by myself or with a guest. You know what I mean? As long as you're all right with it, I'm all right with it. Wanda, give me a call. You know, you can call me after this. Anybody can if you want to get tickets. And I'm going to put my Cash App up as well, you know, and put tickets aside. Because like I said, you know, they're really doing well. You know what I mean? Everybody know a Tracy Allen event anyway. Y'all know that. I ain't bragging or nothing, but you know, I like to have a good time. You know, I don't care what type of event that I'm doing. You know, and this is my very first one for this recovery, you know, thing. And I want to try to take it other places and have balls and, you know, have, you know, nice outings for us to go. We ain't got to worry about, you know, alcohol, drugs, or nothing like that. Because guess what? The only thing missing from that madness is the poison. That's all it's missing, because the partying and the having fun, you know what I mean, and the socializing all is great. It is a beautiful thing. You follow what I'm saying? And I want us to have these type of things to do and go to. Get together. Let's go to, you know, some, you know, conventions if you want. Let's go to, you know, a show. You know what I'm saying? Let's meet up at the park and have a good time grilling and, you know, bringing foods and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's a great thing. It's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? So I hope that we can build this, you know, and come together, you know, and enjoy each other's company just like we do on here, you know, and have some share people, have some people speak, you know. You gotta stay in the house with it. I want to move around with it, you know. But this is working for me right now. You know, so these are ideas and things that I am trying to, you know, to do. I have some great guests, y'all, that's going to be on, you know, the platform at the convention. You know what I mean? Some of you going to know some of them, and some of you going to be like, wow, this was the bomb. You know, I got people, look, tell me, man, Tracy, you ain't tell me you was having no party. I said, you know, knowing that they, you know, get it in. I'm like, hey, it ain't that kind of party, but it's a party that you can come to and you will have a great time. You know, come on, try it, give it in. And they buying tickets. You know what I'm saying? They know it can't be no drugs and alcohol, but it's the respect. And it's part of the people who wants it. They want to be able to share themselves. They want to be able to find peace. You know what I mean? But society just, you know, it's so vicious. It's controlled by disease, you know, when we get into these poisons like this, you know, and we get to pop and, you know, hanging out and everything. I ain't saying we're hanging out is wrong. You know, it's just certain places that I just don't choose to be anymore, you know, and some of us don't know how to leave it, you know, because that could be in your way as well. You know, so I know time is going, y'all. I hope y'all got some good information tonight. You know what I mean? I'm going to see everybody next Wednesday. You know, everybody share this. When you get off this live, just push share, y'all. Push share and send it out. We've been doing a great job doing it. You know, I just don't want anybody to forget. You ain't got to share it once. Share it another day, too. You know what I mean? Continue to share it because this is how other people get it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm telling you, we got numbers, man. This is such a blessing. You know, keep sharing this. You know, and don't forget to push that button. Let me shout out a little bit more before I go off, y'all. Hey, Phyllis, you know, because a lot of people have Bible study tonight. You know what I mean? And they always come on, you know, after the fact, as long as they see me on the live, and I appreciate y'all. Hey, Sharon, you know, Shajaya, you know, I try to get it right. You know, I kill a name, y'all. Don't beat me up for that. You know, Bernice Jackson, hey, what's up, girl? How you doing? Stephanie Williams, you know, again, Reese, thank all of y'all for coming on. You know, my sister-in-law, all my sister-in-laws, my daughter-in-laws, my children, you know what I mean? Thanks for coming on, y'all. Keep coming on. You know, like I said, come on and sit down. What's up, Maurice? I'm glad to see you back on here, though. I'm not saying you might have been on, just not sharing or, you know, let me know you there, but I do know you are always watching at times. Kaheem, my nephew, appreciate you, nephew. You know, it's so good to see everybody doing great, you know, for themselves. And I hope some of this information that I throw out, you know, is helping you to get better. You know what I mean? With streets, with old ways, you know, with the things we used to do. Hey, it's a beautiful world when you make change in it. It really is. And Linda, thank you so much. Jacqueline, thank you. Can't wait for you to get back to work. Roxanne, thank you. I'm still waiting for your call. You know, Stacy, thank you so much. Stace, I have the tickets. You know what I mean? You know, and let them know that you all, Edwina, love you so much, girl. And let them know that you'll be, you're being honored. I'm going to post out, you know, all my honorees. Hey, y'all, look, I ain't playing. We going on the billboard. I ain't playing. Y'all know I like them billboards now. We going on the billboard. We're going to have a screen. This thing going to be large. You know what I mean? They need to just come film us. I'm trying to get channel 10, channel 6, I'm trying to get more, you know, more people to come and see that we do great things. You know what I mean? Come on, check us out. You know, this thing ain't little. This thing big. You know what I mean? This thing is big, and it speaks for itself on this live every Wednesday. This thing is big. You know, and I'm here. Mert, I see you put on here. Your glasses is right next to right next to you, because you know I can't see. That's why I got both of these things. But I can see the big screen better than I can on this daggone phone. You know, but I get through it, y'all. Okay, I want to say thank everybody. Y'all know my prayer that I love doing and love saying. I say 24/7 because it helps me to deal with people, places, and things. You know what I mean? I'm gonna give y'all some hearts, you know, to let you know that I love you. You know, don't forget about these hearts. I love them so much. You know what I mean? Because everything I do and everything I try, and everybody I try to help comes directly and straight from the heart. You know, so God grants me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And I see everybody next Wednesday.